Policy impact in Malaysia.
Good morning, class. How are you today?
Good morning, miss. We all fine, thank you.
So you still remember the assignment that I gave you last week? You are required to find article or journal related to policy impact in Malaysia?
Yes, we still remember the assignment given by you, miss.
So Scott, how about you present first?
All right, miss. I will go first. Presentation time. So the article or journal that I choose is Education Policy and Ethnic Relations in Malaysia, the Socio-Economic Perspectives.
It sounds really good. I am really excited now. So can you tell me why you choose this policy?
Now I will tell you why I choose this policy. The reason I chose this policy, because as a university student it was close to me. Education plays an important role in the country's development or in the enhancement of economic development according to the Malaysian Development Plan 2013 to 2025. The excellence of a country and the world economy today depends on its people's knowledge and skills. It is not surprising to see more economic prosperity in countries with better education and higher education. Education is also important in building and uniting a nation. This can be a chance for people to improve their lives and become community members that can contribute actively to the country's development.
Wow, it's really good, Scott. Now can you tell me more about your policy, Scott?
Of course, miss. Now I will tell you more about my policy. Milne and Muzzy, 1986, report that there were 3 stages in the education system before independence. The first phase is primary and secondary school, with the highest number of rich people going to school regardless of whether they are Malay, Chinese or Indian. According to M. Bakri Musa, 2013, the attitude of the Malay parents who thought that sending their children to English schools was equivalent to turning them into white men. The second phase is the secular Malay medium school system established by the United Kingdom. The aim of the school was to make rural young farmers. In addition, Malaya's secondary school system does not exist. Chinese and Indian, Tamil, vernacular schools are the third stage of the final stage. At the time, the Chinese paid for primary and secondary school costs. Apart from the differences in the introductory language, many differences, such as curricula, learning and orientation, also reflect the system of education. Such a situation is hardly easily shaped by the future of Malaysian society. The link between educational and socio-cultural factors, particularly in the field of education, is a controversial emotional argument between Malaysians of different ethnic backgrounds, according to Milne and Muzzy, 1986.
I am impressed, Scott. But can you tell me about your policy impact, Scott?
No problem, miss. The impact of this policy, according to Ragaya, 2013, emphasizes that the new economic policy in education can solve social problems among Malaysians. This is because this policy focuses on education as a way to help alleviate the poverty of Malaysians and aims to restructure society. The impact of this policy can be achieved through appropriate education and training programs to enhance the trained workforce and incentives for administrative measures to increase participation in the modern sector. Although the Chinese and Indians have been successful and advanced in their educational attainment, but we can see in the 2 decades of implementation of the new economic policy Malays educated at all levels, primary, secondary and tertiary. Educational programs, including quotas for university enrollment, scholarships and other education subsidies, could help Malays increase their salary earnings that can reduce poverty in Malaysia. Although significant success has been achieved in the role of educational policy as tools to restructure the employment system, especially with respect to professional and managerial as well as technical and skilled professions, in the field of employment imbalances continue to exist with respect to clear restructure goals. The second Outline Perspective Plan (OPP2) report indicates that, although Malaysia's manufacturing employment has improved as mentioned, it is concentrated more on lower ranks of employment. In addition, Malaysia only comprised 26% of the total professional and executive staff, and 36% of all technical and supervisory workers in the industry. Together, almost half of the Malay 60.3% were working in nursing and teaching occupations in the medical and technical categories. Malaysia accounted for just 29% of its total in 1990 in some high-pay jobs, such as architects, accountants and physicians. In the administrative and management groups, the Malay workforce was around 33.3%, while the Chinese were around 58.7% and the Indians were over 5.3%.
Wow, I got a lot of information, Scott. Okay, now can you make your conclusion now, Scott?
With your pleasure, miss. This scenario does not include racial domination or superiority, as defined in the form of education policy in general, in the policy of choice. Cheng takes stresses in this regard that on the one side it aims only to transcend the historic backwardness of Malaysia and to bring it up to the point where it can compete in the same way as the immigrant community without further disability, while on the other hand, under the federal constitution, the government guarantees that no particular group is affected. Article 153 of the Federal Constitution contains, for example, protection of the legitimate interests of Chinese and other ethnic groups. Although it is possible to favor the Malaysians in business, industry or education, current members are not to be expelled. Thus, education policy has virtually changed the country's socio-economic system.
Scott, I think you making your presentation is pretty good. Because you have a lot of information.
Yes! Thank you, miss.
You're welcome, Scott.
2 hours later.
Okay, class, we have done with presentation. So class dismiss and have a nice day.
Thank you, miss, and have a nice day too. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy.